October is always a time of fascination and mystery. A month where baseball is at its best. And the league somehow thinks playing games in LA on a weekday at 2 p.m. is a good idea. Even then, the drama of the games are always at their peak. And the roar of a lively crowd is easily welcomed again. Before the World Series begins, we must go over those that didn't make it. Someone has to lose in a series, you know? When the Yankees lose, all of America wins. Even if it's the Red Sox doing the beating. Garrett Cole, the $324 million man on the mound, was hoping for an Astro performance. What did New York get? Spider-tacked by Pittsburgh Cole. Deja vu in the third inning by Kyle Schwarber before he was pulled shortly after. Somewhere Trevor Bauer is using this as another of his fetishes. Besides the Yankees pissing off their fans all season, the Green Monster trolled Giancarlo every chance it got. To be honest, the Pinstripes were a fucking mess all season. And it might be more of a relief to their fans that they're out instead of prolonging the agony. It's still probably will the Steinbrenners blaming the players and nothing's going to change in the next season. Tonight, Boston feasts on a special delicacy. Turtle soup. Rob Manfred wipes his brow in relief as wildcard bullshit didn't take out a precious big market team. He can accept St. Louis being knocked out and nobody expected them to be here and the world would have died from the chaos of their advancement. It's a shame since Adam Wainwright's pitching was excellent, but the Dodgers kept them in check. You can't bail out your team by going 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. The game played out like a chess match. Pawns sacrificed for the greater good. The pieces moved into position. In the ninth, the time had come. Mike Schilt needs to go for the king. He moves his bishop to put LA in check. That piece? Alex Reyes?
Swinging a drive. Deep left field. This is way back. Walk him off.
Leaving your own king exposed. Bad luck, Mike. He does realize that Reyes has been a gas can since July, right? As the devil magic backfired, Schilt was set ablaze by his own spell. The winning streak could not save him. So this is how life dies, with an addiction to pitching matchups. I normally feel bad for the Rays and whatever fans they haven't driven away in this scenario. A 100-win team getting smacked out of the playoffs by a big-market franchise reinforcing how fucked baseball is. That last statement is true for Tampa, but not for the reason you'd think. The only explanation I have for an extinction of Stingrays is divine retribution. When team execs are coming out during the series that Tampa isn't viable for full season baseball when they've barely tried to move to Tampa proper? I'm sorry, you lose as much sympathy as a Rays fan dealing with bridge traffic. The starting pitchers they threw out in this series included Shane Baz, Drew Rasmussen, and Colin McHugh. Was shot to shit and it glared like that proposed Ybor City Stadium. The team had talent but was injured where it mattered. Too bad they couldn't injure the baseball that bounced around to force a ground rule double in Game 4, eh? Hey, Kike Hernandez is Boston's best hitter and we have a base open! Let's pitch to him! This ain't about the players or fans, but honestly, fuck them. I hope they fail for as long as they try to go halfsies. Eat shit, Stu. Why don't you move to Montreal, you spineless shit? Okay, gang, let's see who the White Sox really are. What a shocker, it's every other AL Central contender whose flaws have been masked by a bad division. You could flip Chicago with the T's or Indians and you'd have the same outcome. Let's be real, this series said a hell of a lot more about the Astros than it did the White Sox. They're legit. And if you aren't ready to play against a team with their level of durability, you're going to be the girl in the Coppertone logo. Exposed. Southside was dominated and the only thing remaining is Tony La Russa clinging onto the unwritten rules. And good news for the rest of the league, he's going to be back next year too. God, I really want to laugh at him for this series loss, but they could have had any other soul out there and the result would have been the same. You know what to do this offseason, White Sox. I'd say dig for fossils, but you have one managing you. I can't really shit on the Giants for coming up short. Not with the lack of expectations on the season or the likability of the roster. The series loss just leaves me with an empty feeling. Emptier than going 3 for 25 with runners in scoring position. It's a lost opportunity. They could have been something great if they had managed to break into Dodger pitching. Yet knowing their roster, I fear this may have been a flash in the pan. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but with a bunch of players in their 30s, guys like Posey and Belt 2 new contracts, and the strange nature of this team, it's depressing. This team got robbed because they ran into a machine. And it feels as bitter as Wilmer Flores being jobbed at the plate. He didn't go. Are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna end the series like that? Even in a hard-fought rivalry, Umpball will find a way to ruin everything. San Francisco, enjoy your convenient scapegoat. The state of Wisconsin never wanted to start a gun control initiative. They don't have to take any guns away. Just give them all to the Milwaukee Brewers. Seeing how they did against the Braves, they wouldn't hit anything with them. The key for the Brew Crew was if the batters could keep up with the elite pitching on display. Bad for them, the lie detector determined that was a lie. Milwaukee made the Braves seem like they were throwing out Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz every night. So pathetic that they went 2 for 23 with runners in scoring position. It was as sad as Christian Yelich and his obvious need for back surgery. All I hope is that he can return to his once great form, or else you're in deep, deep shit. The only thing that can make this better is look at that! Josh Hader throwing a cookie to Freddie Freeman to seal the series for Atlanta. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you know who would have been pitching in that 8th inning if he were healthy? Devin Williams. You may now punch your hand into a wall in solidarity. Be glad you have all that beer up there. You're gonna need it after this wasted season. At least you can say they had a good run. A season of no expectations, thrown on an operating table and ripped open for its organs. That's the price when you waive your medical rights. The quack doctor putting them under the knife? Houston. It was looking good early on. Through 3 games, it almost seemed as if Boston was going to pull off the impossible, but after that? No. Just no. The Astros proved how dominant they can truly be, despite anything the Red Sox did to try and counter. After Game 4, Boston's offense was harvested. Without any anesthesia. Your dead hope's gonna be sold on the black market and you're gonna like it, goddammit! I can't shit on them that hard since Boston did have a really good season and they did upend the Yankees once again. It's just bad luck they ran into a better team. Take this season and cherish it. Maybe put up a banner saying you beat the Pinstripes or something. That always helps. Money can't buy happiness. And apparently it can't buy a healthy baseball team either. On paper, the Dodgers should have crushed Atlanta like we were in the 1860s. The baseball gods did not agree. They wanted to show the Braves some form of mercy for once. So we pile on their dead. May and Bauer out long before October. Add on Kershaw and Muncy just before the playoffs. Justin Turner out before Game 6. Max Scherzer unable to start Game 6. Dave Roberts with his textbook over managing. It's the perfect formula to not only defeat the Dodgers handily, but do it with painful repercussions for LA in general. Have you seen that list of contracts expiring for them after this season? Good lord, that's a lot of talent that might be reaching the open market. Unlike the Dodgers, the Braves were able to capitalize on their opportunities, and thus are able to move on while the West Coast taunts LA with their COVID Cup. It all ends with one true conclusion. An Atlanta sports franchise didn't choke. We're all doomed, aren't we? So with those things settled, we now have the final battles coming into view. A conclusion to a postseason that hopefully won't begin a long-term work stoppage. Before we worry about that though, we meet our first contender. A quiet whimper becomes a loud thud. The slow banging pierces into the eardrums like a freshly sharpened spear. To those hearing it, they only know the fear that comes with it. Inevitability is certain with every slam of its plastic exterior. The trash cans of war. Once used as a symbol of mockery, it has now become their rallying cry. Those that had scorned them, those that had wronged them, those that had used revelations to their advantage. They have become the hunted. Their potent bats and powerful arms, their dissenters will run. They will beg for mercy, but the Astros will not give it to them. Not for what they had suffered. 2 years ago, they had made it here, but were undone by half a pitching staff in incredible form from the Washington Nationals. Not to mention massive scandal. The succubus struck again. This time, however, they've come to barter. The Astros will sacrifice their other Houston brethren for another chance at greatness. And she delightfully agrees. As the Texans and Rockets collapse into disrepair, the baseball team throws out a murderous row of weapons at the plate. And this is even without George Springer, whom left in free agency. The names read out like an all-star list. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, Yuli Gurriel, Michael Brantley, Kyle Tucker, and who could forget the bombs that Yordan Alvarez hits with regularity. Whatever they've lost, they've replaced with ease. And it's probably the most frustrating thing about them. They didn't need to cheat. There's a good chance they could have won a piece of metal without stealing signs with technology. Regardless, what's done is done. And they're on a redemption tour. To prove they can win by sheer talent alone. Their pitching staff will try to aid them on their quest. Losing Lance McCullers is a deadly blow. He was one of their best, but they still have others to assist. Young arms like Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, Luis Garcia, and a wily old vet looking for his long-lost ring. Zach Greinke, a man who's evolved in finesse and deception. This might be his last chance at glory as a player, and he's not going to let it go for anything. The bullpen has been loaded up with a combination of grizzled veterans, young arms, and the dominant Ryan Presley to take the load when the starting pitching falters. And they unfortunately did a good bit of that against Boston in the ALCS. Despite those hiccups, they have proven they are legitimate, and the final prize is in sight. An end to Dusty Baker's long-standing legacy of failure. His biggest flaw has always been his terrible in-game management, but it hasn't reared its ugly head here. He, Brantley, and Greinke are probably the only guys anyone will feel good for on this team, but you have to remember only 4 players from that 2017 roster are still active on the Astros. McCullers is injured, and Correa is going to be a free agent after this year. Baseball has tried their hardest to bury the scandal, and the only one who's been legitimately punished has been Jeff Luna. None of the players have suffered repercussions. AJ Hinch is back in the majors with Detroit. Alex Cora has returned to his old team in Boston. Carlos Beltran is being looked at for managerial roles again. It may sting for fans of the game, but Houston has earned this shot, and we can't do a damn thing about it. You know who could, though? Their opponent. Let's travel back in time to around the All-Star break. The Atlanta Braves were in deep shit. They were well under 500 and could see the NL East Division lead with binoculars. The postseason was a pipe dream at that point. They had bigger shit to deal with. The city lost the All-Star game due to things out of their control. Marcell Ozuna was suspended for allegations of domestic violence. Mike Soroka's Achilles re-ruptured by merely walking. Travis d'Arnaud was fighting a long-term injury. And the big blow went to their franchise face, Ronald Acuna. He'd be out for the remainder of the season. Things were fucked. Very fucked. A lost season was staring them right in the face. However, like a certain team from Washington a few years ago, the Braves found the way to success was in charging at the adversity head-on. Fighting fire with fire. Thriving in the chaos. The key came in a savvy trade deadline completely overhauling their outfielded value. Jock Peterson from the Cubs. Eddie Rosario from Cleveland. Jorge Soler from Kansas City. And a reunion with Adam Duvall from Miami. You don't have to go all in on big splashes to get impact players. Atlanta proved that. When you're rolling out stars like Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, and Austin Riley in complement, it's a goddamn boom. Dansby Swanson and Travis d'Arnaud can make an impact when they need to. Like Houston, the hitting core is their major strength, and it will be expected to carry the load moving forward. The pitching staff was the big question mark heading into the year, however. They had nice pieces in it, but could the depth step up and make it a fully fleshed out unit? Atlanta has high-end arms for their rotation in Max Fried and Charlie Morton, but they could desperately use a guy like Soroka to solidify it. In the meantime, it will have to be eaten up by the likes of Ian Anderson, the revived vet Drew Smiley, and Huascar Ynoa. We all hope won't punch a wall in frustration and break his hand again. Even if the starters falter, the bullpen is where they really shine. 2 pieces stick out here. Tyler Matzek and AJ Minter. They're 2 greatest firemen, putting out danger at every corner with raw stuff and impeccable control. They were critical against the Dodgers, and they'll need to be here as well. Jesse Chavez is somehow still a thing. I remember when he was traded to the Pirates for Kip Wells. That's how long he's been in this league. Luke Jackson is also talented, but has run into dangerously bad form as of late. We know what he can do when he's at his best, and he'll need to be. To close out games, Will Smith takes on the role. He hasn't been the most beloved in Atlanta due to his bend but don't break approach, but he's been very strong this postseason. And I don't see why he couldn't keep it up. It's important for this reason. Atlanta as a city has been long cursed with the art of choking away big situations. Even last season, the Braves blew a 3-1 series lead against the Dodgers, despite teams with a 2-0 lead in the championship series having a 28-3 record. That's also a very important number in Atlanta lore for other reasons. This Braves team has overcome so many obstacles this season, but this one might be the most important for the city. It wouldn't only be a championship, but it'd be a symbolic victory. And no amount of Liberty media taking Cobb County hostage could undo it. Brian Snitker has been a dedicated baseball man to the Braves. Freddie Freeman may be having his last hurrah before leaving in free agency. The feel-good stories are abound in Atlanta, but they will have to go through Houston like many have tried before them. Can they do it, though? Will the baseball world quietly stew in Atlanta joy, or will it openly revolt due to Houston's glory? We know what's at stake, but who comes out victorious? I'm torn on this one. Both teams have very strong hitting cores, and this series is going to depend on which one can break through the opposition's rotation. Both are riding incredible momentum. Both have strong bullpens. I'm a cautious man, and I don't know if it's gut feel or general pessimism, but Houston is just too damn strong to hold down. Atlanta will put up a great fight, but it won't be enough to stop the Astros from beating them in 6 games. May God have mercy on baseball. It is not ready for Houston's retribution.
The 3-2 pitch. Bring on the